This is Toledo Symphony Lab, a behind-the-scenes look at the world of classical music from WGTE Public Media and your Toledo Symphony. I'm Brad Cresswell. Joining me today are the Toledo Symphony's president and CEO, Zach Vassar, principal second violin and artistic administrator, Merwin Sue, and the TSO's marketing director, Felicia Canny. And we also have two very special guests with us in the studio today. Kathy Scheer, who is president of the Toledo Symphony League, and we also have Bill Brancheau, who is a longtime volunteer for the symphony and currently a volunteer in the music department here at WGTE. Let me get a little fanfare for the two of you.
Nice.
Oh. Yeah. Now we have to wait for it to finish before I can welcome you.
This is like pseudo Copeland.
Yeah. We'll try something else here. Welcome, Kathy and Bill. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah. Well, Bill, you're here every week because you volunteer in the music library, but it's nice to see you in a different capacity, shall we say.
You mean with headphones on?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, today the subject is volunteering, volunteerism. It's the day before Thanksgiving. This is kind of like our Thanksgiving special, and we decided to do something a little different this time, and that is to talk about the people who really make it all possible, what we do. I know here in nonprofit media, we certainly couldn't get by the day-to-day without people like Bill helping us out. And Kathy, I know that you have such a great hand in providing support for the symphony through the Toledo Symphony League. Can you tell us a little bit, maybe for folks who aren't that familiar with it, what it is and what you do in that regard?
About the Toledo Symphony League?
Yeah.
Yes. This is an organization of women. Occasionally we have men as members. But
you hear that, Bill?
I heard that.
There's still hope for you.
But it's been in existence for 68 years. I believe they came from the Friends of Music group that started the Toledo Symphony Orchestra. And I was kind of looking at the archives down at the orchestra office, and it's very interesting. I'm going to have to do some more research and find out exactly when we became the Toledo Symphony League versus the Women's Auxiliary of the Toledo Symphony Orchestra and things like that.
Yeah, it sounds very militaristic.
It's funny when you hear the words Women's Auxiliary, it just feels like a black and white photo.
Yes. I was looking at a lot of black and white photos.
Yeah. Well, Zach, I mean, you're in the position, being the CEO of the symphony, I'm sure that you can speak to the value of volunteers working for the symphony.
Well, I have to remember, you have to remember, because I have to remember, when I first got involved in the symphony, it was through the Toledo Symphony League. There was a great program that the league ran at the time, which is trying to get high school kids into classical music. I was at St. John's at the time and worked with some wonderful league members. And I remember attending several Tuesday lunches and being inspired by the passion of all of these women who were trying to raise money, draw attention to, and create a way for education into the arts. So I felt very inspired by the Toledo Symphony League, and from that became a volunteer at the Toledo Symphony and then an intern. And I guess I just worked my way up.
Yeah, worked your way up. Felicia and Merwin, have you done any volunteering, that sort of work?
When I was in high school, I did a lot of work at an Alzheimer's care facility.
Oh, okay.
And it was something that was really meaningful to me because it really forces a great deal of empathy, and I think that's something that every teenager needs to develop, is this ability to put yourself in the shoes of others. And I think that's something that's really extraordinarily important when you're working in Alzheimer's care, and that was something that I've always taken with me.
I want to talk a little bit with Kathy and Bill about their backgrounds and get sort of a little biographical narrative going here, and Bill, we'll turn to you since you haven't spoken yet. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about your path to volunteering, and let's just get to know you a little better. I have some music for you. Let me pull that up. Okay, so here's your theme music, Bill. Now go ahead and tell us the Bill Brancheau story.
Well, I'm married. We'll be celebrating our 46th anniversary this month.
Yay!
Wow.
When I retired in 2005, I had decided I wanted to volunteer for a nonprofit and I started with the Toledo Symphony. I had an interview and I was accepted. I did a lot of different things with the symphony. And then after a while, after 13 years of volunteering there, I decided I wanted to change, and I talked to Zach about it. He was reluctant to see me leave, but I said I have to do this, and now I'm volunteering here with the FM 91.
Yeah. I have to
FM
say,
91 controls the soundboard. I'm just saying.
I have to say, Zach's loss is certainly our gain. Let me ask you a question, Zach, about Bill, because I can tell you, Bill does a lot of database work for us, and he works in entering CDs into our system. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of data that goes into that helps us pick what pieces of music are going to go on the air. Bill is extremely, extremely thorough in every thing that he does with that database. That's a compliment to you, Bill.
Thank you.
Are you asking me if that's
I'm
my
asking you
experience?
if that was your experience
Well,
with Bill.
one of the things that Bill was doing for the symphony was to organize an eBay store that we had, which ran to sell very good classical LPs, so very good condition classical LPs. And in order to run a store like that, he had to maintain an inventory over all of these LPs and figure out which ones were in what condition and how much they needed to be sold for and where we should send them. And it ended up being quite an endeavor, and Bill ran that almost completely independently. So you think about the spreadsheets that he would have to put together and the LPs he'd have to pack up and send in some cases out of the country. It was really amazing to see somebody come in and be so dutiful to that exercise. And then, I think one of the neatest things about working with Bill is that he has a great ear. So the fact that he's here working in the music library is perfect because he listens very carefully. And I think his realizations about music are extraordinarily cogent, which is a rare talent.
Yeah. If anybody has anything bad to say about Bill, say it now so we get it out of the way.
I'll do that. So one of the wonderful things about doing pre-concert conversations is the chance to be able to ask questions and to have those conversations with the people in the audience. And I always love hearing what Bill is going to ask me. Sometimes he does it in the conversation itself. Sometimes it's just, before or after, but he always has a point that makes me think and occasionally makes me think, ooh, I should have done better research on that before doing this conversation.
Yeah, I have perfected the fine art of coming up with an answer whether I know it or not. When Bill asked me a question, not to spoil anything there, Bill. Now, you have such a talent for working with, as we said, like databases, information, organizing it, making sure it's correct. I mean, do you have a background in any of this? Was there something that helped you? Hang on a second. Let me get you a little music. No, that's Kathy's music. Here you go, Bill.
Well,
Okay.
when I was I worked for Ford Motor Company as a machine repairman, but I also worked in the preventive maintenance department, of which we had to write up worksheets for different inspections, but I had to read the manuals to find out what to put into that worksheet. And then we had quite an extensive database that we worked from also. That's where it came from.
So just working with databases, working with information, and you obviously have a talent for organizing things.
Right. I
your mind.
have almost everything at home
Yeah.
in an Excel spreadsheet also.
So
Including the
grocery
spices,
list.
Yeah, spices in his cabinets, and how many plates he has versus.
Oh, not quite that bad.
but when we walk into your home, everything is organized.
Well,
in
you're
its
required to
place.
sign in.
Exactly. Exactly.
But Bill, where did your love for classical music come from? Because you have an exhaustive sense of composers, performers, and repertoire.
For me, it started when I was a youngster going to Trinity Episcopal Church. They had a fantastic choir, a great organist, a 4-manual Skinner organ. I mean, actual live organ music just was exciting to me. And then from there, I started listening more and more to 91.3, almost always, and learned more about music. And then my son got involved in music, and he went to a music school, and he also was in Toledo Youth Orchestra. And that's going to orchestra concerts with him. And then my wife and I are season subscribers to the Toledo Symphony and the Toledo Opera. I enjoy it. Good music, played well.
Yeah, I think we can all applaud that sentiment.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And really, our volunteers are probably the nicest people I've ever met in my life. And I remember when I first started working at the symphony, I first met Kathy when I was an intern, and I was kind of stationed in the development office. Do you remember that, Kathy?
Yeah, I remember you down in the box office, too.
Yes. And I remember meeting Bill, and we talked about our Cleveland connection a lot.
Right.
Yeah. Do you have a Cleveland connection, Bill?
Yes. My daughter lives, and her family live in Rocky River.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so you get out there occasionally.
We were there this last Saturday.
Yeah, wonderful. Let's talk a little bit about like the volume of volunteerism. I mean, do you have a lot of volunteers working at the symphony for you, Zach?
We can always use more.
Yeah, if somebody wants to volunteer.
Volunteers do all sorts of different things. So we certainly have folks who come into the office who do things like Bill and Kathy do. We have folks who help us on concert nights to man will call tables and even in some cases help out in the box office. There's no shortage of filing, organizing, advocating, and communicating that we have to do, and our volunteers really help us with that, and we are thankful for that, thinking about what we're thankful for this time of year.
Do you have like a volunteer Thanksgiving day or a day that you
Here's the most amazing thing. If I can take a step back, one of the neatest things that the Toledo Symphony League does for us is they create lunches for us, most memorably around Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
I guess my invitation was lost in the mail then.
No. Which is the unusual point where our volunteers are thanking us. It should go the other way around. So we started a couple of years ago a thanks back at the end of the season to make sure that we didn't let our thanks go away. So now I think it's a thanks competition.
Yeah, it does feel like
Yeah.
that.
So I think right now the league is up, but we're gonna catch up.
Yeah, little escalation there.
Yes.
That's a good kind of escalation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But Kathy, I would love to hear a little bit about your background. You've been working with the orchestra in many different ways for quite a while, and I'd love to know what was your path into Toledo Symphony, and I'll have Brad cue your music.
Here we go.
Ooh. You want my volunteer background or
Or what did you do before, and then
before?
how did you get to the symphony?
Well, I was married in 1980 and had children, and I worked until the day before my daughter was born. And my job was to raise them. And I got involved in the schools volunteering. So out at Lee L School in White House, I did a lot of volunteering there, and got my start with it, or my feet wet.
Yeah.
And then my son went to St. John's, and they do a lot of volunteer work so they can graduate, actually. They have to get service hours. And we used to work at the Seagate Food Bank. So I volunteered there for a while. And then I have a neighbor and leader who got me and brought me to one of the parties for the Toledo Symphony League. And that's where it all started. Probably about 2009, I think, I went to the party.
Wow.
That's a good recruitment tool. Let's have a party.
Yes, well, that is basically what the Symphony League does. We have a lot of parties for fundraising. We have fun fundraising, I guess is what we say.
Wow.
And so it is a lot of fun. We have parties of note, we call them, and some bigger events like our Rite of Spring in the spring. And
I was very disappointed to find out their Rite of Spring doesn't involve any human sacrifice at all.
no,
Not yet.
just volunteer sweat.
or even mixed meter.
Or even
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of been an annual tradition, the Rite of Spring.
There's wonderful parties you do at Christmas time as well.
The bags.
the
for the
bags.
musicians.
And
yes.
I think we do need to talk about the survival package.
Yes. Well, our mission is to provide financial, educational, and volunteer services to the Toledo Symphony so they can provide music to the entire community.
Yeah.
And one of the things we do is the musician survival bags. And during the Christmas season, they have quite a few concerts. They have,
They're
Only a few.
busiest time
Yeah.
of year, right?
Is it 50?
Yeah.
Feels like it.
I'm pretty sure I counted
Jinx.
it last year. I think it was 1,000 concerts in 32 days.
oh my gosh.
Wow.
Ooh.
Well, they need
Math is tough.
That's a lot.
No, I think last year it was 35 concerts in 32 days.
yes.
Okay, that sounds better.
And these survival bags are something to help them get through this. They have snacks and winter hats, gloves, chapstick, little bottles of
Hand sanitizer.
hand
little
sanitizer.
bottles of
Bottles of hand sanitizer.
Yes,
is what
hand
she was saying.
sanitizer. Yeah.
Wait, no, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. I mean, everything you could
keep you warm.
possibly need. I mean, hot chocolate, coffee, things like that.
So if you see an errant
So-
clarinetist out in the snow drinking hand sanitizer, you know who to blame, right?
Don't
yeah,
talk
it's
about
not good
Jocelyn
for you.
that
Don't
way.
drink it.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
But this helps them get through the rigorous schedule they have. And we have several people that donate money so we can buy stuff. And we usually put about 75 bags together. And they really look forward to getting these.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's one of the highlights of the Christmas season. It's like, oh, yay, it's bag day.
It's like a Christmas stocking almost.
Yeah.
When do you get the bags? Right before all your...
It depends on the
Routes.
holiday schedule. Like if we're doing a Stranahan program right near the holidays, then that will often be when they're distributed. Otherwise, it will be a neighborhood concert that's closer to Toledo as opposed to a run out where people have to drive far away.
So
Yeah.
Kathy, these concerts are just on the other side of Thanksgiving. So any secrets that we might anticipate in the bag this year?
Well, we just put them together at our general board meeting, and we put them together like an assembly line. We have all the things laid out around the tables and go around and put them all in. Hopefully, we don't miss anything. If you ever, get something that somebody else
Bottles of
didn't
hand
get.
sanitizer.
I mean, that's our worst nightmare,
Any surprises in this year's bag?
Any
Well, I
yo-yos?
can't tell you.
Any yo-yos?
I don't know.
Ooh,
Maybe?
kazoo.
I don't remember. I didn't put
Special
yo-yos
notes.
in it.
Special notes.
Hopefully,
know.
yeah, special notes. Yeah,
Sharp ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's take a pause because I want to turn to our quiz of the day. I have a Volunteering 101 quiz. So this is open to everybody. I'll say the clue, and if you don't know what it is, just go ahead and say it, right? For those of you who
If
have
we
not...
don't know what it is, we should say it.
If you
How
don't
is there
know
a
what it is... No, if you do know what it is, you should say it. Does that make sense?
Makes more sense.
Felicia's giving me like the stink eye over there. I'm not quite sure.
No, I just don't. Okay, go ahead. Go.
You don't what?
No, nothing.
Okay. If you know the answer, go ahead and say so.
Okay.
And some of these are true and false. Some of them are multiple choice. Okay. So I'm not asking for anybody to pull a rabbit out of a hat, right? Here we
Well,
go.
I guess I can put my hat away.
Yeah, that's right. So much for the hat. Okay. Little theme music for the quiz.
Sounds a lot like Kathy's music.
Kind of, sort of.
Kathy's song.
Kathy's song.
Not all piano songs sound the same, Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't gotten into the Christmas music yet, so this is more like just feel-good type
This is
music.
the last.
It does feel good.
Probably the last time until we do, right?
Maybe so, yeah.
I
Okay.
started listening.
Number 1. According to a survey, what percentage of volunteers believe that volunteering makes people happier in their lives? Is it over 40%, over 50%, or over 90%?
It's 100%, right?
I would think so. Why would
Close
you
to it.
volunteer?
Why would you
if-
volunteer
Yeah.
if you don't believe in
At
it?
least 90.
96%. So
Wait,
they're
who are
The 4 are forced to volunteer.
4%.
That's probably the ones that have to do it to graduate or something.
Yeah,
That's a good point.
they're volunteering.
They're like
and they're
Scrooges or something.
really
Yeah,
angry
yeah.
about it.
I'm generous
Okay.
under duress.
True or false? Volunteering can make you more likely to land a job. Is that true or false?
True.
I feel like that's true.
Oh, it's
Absolutely
true. It was
true.
on my son's
Yeah.
It's like networking.
application for pharmacy.
Yeah.
That was a biggie.
In a study of 3,000 employers, 84% of them agreed that volunteering makes a candidate more appealing, making them more likely to offer a second interview. Okay. How many Americans volunteer yearly? Is it over 25 million, over 50 million, or over 75 million?
I feel like all of these are
Million?
leading into the better number, so I would say the highest number. So 75 million sounds like a lot, but I would
Yeah.
say... Yeah.
As of 2017, those are the most recent figures that we have
Oh my gosh, it
available.
must
2018,
be closer to-
2019.
Yeah.
Just went
Must be
down.
closer to 79 million by now.
Interestingly enough, the number of volunteers shot up after the 2016 election. So there were more people volunteering. They don't say exactly what for, but overall,
I wonder.
77.4 million Americans volunteered 6.9 billion hours in 2017. That's worth an estimated value of nearly $167 billion worth in volunteering. Which of these activities is the most popular form of volunteering? Is it preparing, serving food? Is it teaching, or is it fundraising? What would you say?
Pretty sure it's
Fundraising.
Teaching.
organizing classical music.
Well, Bill was right. Fundraising.
It is fundraising. That's what I would have
number
said.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1 in 3 volunteers actually raises funds for nonprofits. That's followed closely by food donation and meal preparation, transportation, labor support, tutoring young people, serving as a mentor, and lending professional and management expertise. That's from a 2018 government report.
A 1 in 3?
Yeah, 1 in 3.
Wow. Do you have their names?
Well, we've got 2 right here, and I know that at least one of them has done some fundraising. Bill, have you ever done fundraising in the past?
I have. I've done about 3 or 4 different ones.
Okay, so yeah, 2 out of 2 right here.
100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
That
True or
skews all the
false?
data.
True or false? Adults who began volunteering as youth are 4 times as likely to volunteer as those who did not volunteer when they were younger.
I wonder, this normally seems like something where Brad will actually skew the statistic downward, and it's actually like 8 times as likely. So I'm going to say false.
It is false, but it's not. It's not 8 times as likely. It's twice as likely. They're twice as likely.
No.
Okay.
I kind of got in his brain.
Yeah. Wow.
This
I'm
is a
impressed.
question for
What
Kathy
was it like
and
in
Bill.
there?
Yeah, what was it
No
like?
comment. There was a Gary Trudeau, right? Like, was it in Reagan's brain? Like the Bloom camp? No, Doonesbury?
I think you're completely making this up.
I'm on it.
Yeah. Maybe it was the Canadian version of Doonesbury. Doonesbury A, right?
Oh, Doonesbury.
Yeah. True or false? No, this is not true or false. This is a question for Kathy and Bill. Who volunteers more, women or men? What would you say?
Women.
Men.
Kathy, you get the gold ring.
Yay!
Actually, women volunteer.
We have
But-
a whole organization.
Well, yeah. But by about 6% more. 6%
Okay.
more women volunteer than men, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
I think that's why they live longer.
Maybe.
Maybe.
so. Which
They should do
segues
research.
nicely into my next question. True or false, volunteering can make you live longer?
Oh,
Wow.
there you go.
Merwin.
I think
I
it's
am
true.
I say yes.
Absolutely true. Studies have found that those who volunteer have a lower mortality rate than those who do not, and older volunteers tend to walk more. They find it easier to cope with everyday tasks, are less likely to develop high blood pressure, and have better thinking skills. Maybe I should do some more volunteering. That's what I'm
All that
Wasn't that
filing.
your New Year's resolution?
Yeah, it's coming up. Coming up
A few
again.
weeks to wrap it up.
I'll see you next week.
Yeah. Okay, here's another one. Which generation has the highest percentage of volunteers? Is it baby boomers? Is it Generation X? Or is it millennials?
I would say
I
baby.
I say
Baby
millennials.
Nope, everybody was wrong. Generation X.
Oh.
They have the highest rate, 36.4% of volunteering, while baby boomers are giving more hours of service. So in other words, there were fewer baby boomers, but they're working harder as volunteers.
Okay.
But there is a
Baby
higher
boomers.
percentage of Generation X folks that are doing volunteering.
I would have thought the millennials would get more involved.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, boomer.
Go Boomers.
Good. This entire
That's funny. This podcast in like a year and a half will feel so incredibly dated because
Yeah.
I'm sure OK Boomer is just going to like totally
Yeah.
disappear in like
Yeah.
2 weeks.
And here I waited the entire episode to use that line. Oh, well. Okay. Which state has the highest percentage of volunteerism? Is it Ohio, Utah, or California?
Utah.
Well,
Utah.
the population.
Utah.
It's Utah. Yeah.
Oh, I know.
The highest
why.
rate of volunteering, 51%, holding the top spot, followed by Minnesota, Oregon, Iowa, and Alaska.
Oh, wow.
More than
Now,
California.
Which city has the highest percentage of volunteers? Is it Salt Lake City, Minneapolis, St. Paul, or Milwaukee, Wisconsin? Which of those three?
Salt Lake
I want to say Salt Lake City.
Oh,
I feel like that was a
Let's
trick.
go with
That's a trick
Minneapolis
question.
then. Minneapolis.
Yeah, Minneapolis,
Okay.
St. Paul,
Oh, that's nice.
46.3%, followed by Rochester, New York, then Salt Lake City, then Milwaukee, and Portland. Okay.
Maine or
Where does
Oregon?
Toledo rate?
I don't know
They
where
never
Toledo
asked
rates.
me if I was a volunteer. How do they even know?
Yeah. Okay, bonus question. This is your last one. Bonus question. The first ever volunteer fire company was called the Union Fire Company, also known as the Bucket Brigade, also known as the Bucket Brigade. It was established in 1736. Who was the founder of the Bucket Brigade? Who was the founder of the... We're going to leave this in, right? Who was the founder of the Bucket Brigade? Was it Thomas Jefferson, was it Benjamin Franklin, or was it George Washington? 1736.
Oh, wow.
Ben Franklin, I'm guessing.
Thomas
yeah, I would
Jefferson.
have
You're
went
right.
with Franklin as well.
Is it Franklin?
Yeah, Benjamin Franklin. He was 30 years old at the time. Thomas Jefferson was -7 because he
Oh.
wasn't born yet.
Okay.
George Washington was
Uh-oh,
4
history.
years old. So, yeah, I don't think that people realize that Ben Franklin was 25 years older than George Washington. 30.
I know a lot of 4-year-olds who like to play with buckets, so
Yeah.
I feel like that this would be this would have been
was
possible.
It
started.
could have been George
It
Washington.
could have been George Washington.
Yeah.
It really explains the bifocals.
Yeah. So, do we have a winner, or did we decide who won the quiz?
I think the winners are our volunteers today, Brad.
No.
Yeah. The winners are volunteers. As we get close to the end of the podcast today, let me ask you, Kathy and Bill, what is it that you get out of volunteering? What are the rewards for you, the personal rewards? You want to go first, Kathy? Hang on.
Oh,
Okay.
I need my music. Yeah.
Yeah.
I need music at the office, too.
Got it. Well, we're going to have to dock your pay for that.
Oh, no. Yeah. Well, you feel really appreciated for one thing. I guess I kind of crave that
Yeah.
for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it was the years I was taking care of my kids and they didn't appreciate me. Or it didn't seem
We
like
appreciate
they did.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we have their names, please?
Bill and Liz.
Bill. Bill's sitting right here.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, not
different
this
Bill.
Bill. Yeah. And I love music. I love the symphony. And I couldn't think of a better place to put my roots right now.
Yeah.
And I also volunteer at the 577 Foundation in Perrysburg, which one of the founders of the orchestra actually lived, or was the daughter of one of the founders of the
Yeah.
orchestra. Virginia Stranahan was one of the daughters of, I can't
It's a
remember
beautiful
her name.
estate.
The other Stranahan.
Marissa West.
Yeah.
Oh, Celeste, yes. Yeah.
It's a beautiful estate and a great place for people to bring their kids.
Oh,
Get
yes,
out
it's
and
wonderful.
see such wonderful
Yeah.
stuff and activities and all kinds of things. Bill, let's hear from you a little bit about what it is that you enjoy from volunteering. Let me make a switch here. There we go.
When I started volunteering, I had an interview with Kathy Scheer, and she invited me to come into the orchestra. And I remember my first day at the office that the atmosphere was so different from the industrial atmosphere. Everybody was polite, professional, and friendly. But getting to know the TSO people in the office and some other musicians, I felt very comfortable being there. It was just gratifying to be there. And then when I left the orchestra and came over here, it was reassuring to know that my efforts meant something significant, even though it was behind the scenes. I just like doing good things for good people.
Wow.
He has some very good exit
Yes.
lines. I love
I
those.
know.
And we have them all
Miss 'em.
on tape.
That's
so
wonderful.
that's good.
Oh,
So we can just
good.
play it back over and over again.
Yeah. Just one question, Bill, though. How does the atmosphere at WGTE compare to the industrial workplace?
Still much better.
Okay. Good to know. Well, we spent a little time, hearing from you two and about your volunteer work and what you get out of it and what you enjoy and appreciate. But this particular episode is about appreciating you and the work that you do and the work of millions of volunteers, all around the country. As we head into Thanksgiving, I wonder if, Zach, you want to take it up and give a little thank you to these folks for their work?
We say it often that we can't do it without you, but we really can't do it without you. So I'm very, very pleased to know you, and I appreciate your character. There was a teacher of mine at St. John's who spoke a lot about character, and one of his great lines was, "What you do when you don't have to says a lot about who you are when you can't help it anymore." And I think our volunteers do a lot that they don't have to, and their strength of character shows who they are when it's just in their blood. So I'm happy that the orchestra and music is in your blood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathy has talked about the League and its founding and some of the activities that they do, but Merwin, I know that you certainly have, some interaction with them. You want to tell us your side?
Sure. Well, as somebody who's teaching so many students, so many of them get support from the League in some way, shape, or form. And that encouragement, the financial benefits of that support, but really knowing that their contributions are valued. It helps my students so much. And there's hundreds of students in the area who get the benefit of that support, even if it's students who are just coming to our young people's concerts and meeting members of the Symphony League as they come into the peristyle. They touch so many young lives, and that's something that, I just want to make sure that our listeners here understand just how useful that is.
Yeah, they touch young lives, including Zach's life.
Including young Zach.
Yeah. And I just want to say to you, Bill, this is my moment to thank you for all the work that you have done here at WGTE, and I hope you will, continue as long as you can, because you provide really an absolutely essential service, and you do it much better than I think that I could ever do, or anybody else here on staff that actually gets paid for it. So my thanks to you.
Thank you, Brad.
This program is a production of WGTE Public Media in collaboration with our sponsor, the Toledo Symphony, with generous support from the Rita Barber Kern Foundation. You can download episodes of our program as a podcast by going to our website at wgte.org/lab. You can also subscribe to us through your podcast app of choice, including Apple and Google Podcasts. Don't forget to check out all the upcoming events at the Symphony. You can visit their website at toledosymphony.com and their various social media outlets on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. My thanks to Zach Vassar, Merwin Sue, and Felicia Canny. Also, a great big thanks to our two special guests today, Kathy Scheer and Bill Brancheau. And a happy Thanksgiving to all. I'm Brad Cresswell, and this has been Toledo Symphony Lab from FM 91.